assessments and data points to zoom in on very specific next steps. She then connects learning objectives to the students' daily reading lives, which helps them recognize the value of their learning. But the instruction taking place in Ms. Burgos's reading groups goes beyond phonemic awareness, character analysis, blends, silent E rules, and problem solution relationships. What Ms. Burgos teaches our kids is the love of reading, the power of words, and the will to work hard at getting better at something that doesn't always come easy. In addition to this important work, Daisha helps keep open lines of communication between staff and parents as a teacher delegate of our Shore Avenue PTA, a constant participant in our Taste of Service functions, and finally, helps lift our student voices on our Shore Avenue Poetry Slam Club. On a personal note, Daisha not only makes moves in the reading room, but she also has recently moved into a beautiful new home and is a proud mommy of a beautiful puppy. Daisha, thank you for all you do, and from your Shore Avenue family, congratulations.
Ms. Burgos, congratulations. Very proud of you. I have to say, for those who don't know Ms. Burgos, kids love to go to her reading class. It's something that they look forward to. And I think that's a great thing because all children learn in different ways and at different paces. And we are there to support our kids that need extra support. And that extra support is not necessarily a negative. It is something that's just added to the agenda of different children, and the kids love to come to reading. So thank you, Ms. Burgos, for creating a wonderful learning environment for our students, and we look forward to many great things of you in the future.
Congratulations, Burgos.
Thank you for this honor. Thank you.
We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Okay, on to Mr. Navarra.
Oh.
It's a great picture. Steve Navarra walks into the Shore Avenue School every day with a smile on his face and a willingness to make a difference in the lives of his students. Steve realizes that in order to teach students at a high level, you must first form relationships with them, and that's exactly what he does. Mr. Navarra builds meaningful bonds with his students. Bonds are based on trust, understanding, and respect. The sixth graders know that they could rely on him as an emotional support. Very often, students are seen confiding in Mr. Navarra, informing him of possible issues at home, small disputes within circles of friends, or even the anxiety of feeling left out. Through words of encouragement and actions of compassion, Steve explores appropriate responses to these real-life scenarios. He and the students search for the most advantageous next steps, and together they move forward. It's the time and care he puts into each interaction which helps form these unbreakable bonds. As for the instructional component of his craft, Steve is well-versed at developing independent, critical thinkers. Most lessons in his class include small group work where students are collaborating, debating, creating, and initiating. In his sixth grade class, the students have a voice and a choice. Mr. Navarra facilitates student-to-student conversations, and it's the students who are expected to synthesize multiple forms of information, problem solve, and develop possible solutions. Outside the classroom, Mr. Navarra is all about the kids. He supports our children as a member of our Check and Connect mentoring program, a teacher in our after-school academy, and as a coach on our Lego robotics team. Steve has also coordinated the Nassau Reading Council's Young Authors Writing Contest at Shore Avenue. Not to mention, every year we've participated, we've had a winner. And on a personal note, Steve is a proud husband and a dad to Sophia, his little mini me, and Vincent, who just joined the world on January 3rd. Steve, your Shore Avenue is so extremely excited and proud for you and your continued success.
Mr. Navarra, I also want to add my congratulations on a personal note. You have definitely grown as a teacher and has definitely motivated, especially our 6th grade students, to really do the best that they can in your class. While visiting, it's very obvious to me that they respect you as a teacher and you respect them as students. The real life activities, real world activities that you bring into the class really not only engages, but really brings relevance to the work that the kids are involved in. And I thank you for that. My congratulations to you. And I thank you again for expanding the opportunities for the kids at Shore Avenue School to become better riders and to compete and obviously excel. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Navarro, the board wishes you all the best and congratulates you on this wonderful event of tenure.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So we are going to cross Sunrise Highway now and go over to the Forest Road School. And it's my pleasure to introduce Erin Malone, principal of the Forest Road School.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me to speak on behalf of a very special tenure candidate. As the board has already read this submission, as has Dr. Sterling, I will just reiterate for the community at large. When speaking about Mr. Nazario, there are several things that you need to know. This is a fella who has been raised right by his mama. I'm going to say that loud and proud because Mrs. Nazario has done one fine job. This young man came over to the Forest Road School with a willingness to learn and was thrown into what was supposed to be a short-term situation and has now ended up being several years. So thank you for your staying power, Mr. Nazario. I'm sure many people will appreciate that as you go through life. But one of the finest things about Chris has been his collegiality. There is not a coworker that you can find across this district who has worked with Chris Nazario on a grade level that would have one negative thing to say about him. He contributes. He is always at the forefront of new and creative initiatives, and he loves to put a smile on his students' faces. He wants to have a good time in his classroom, but he understands also the need to balance out the incredibly hard work it takes of a teacher to get through to not only 1st grade students, which he has done for several years, but now also 3rd grade students. He never says no. When we ask him to get on board with a new initiative, he's always the first one in line saying, what can I do? One of the areas that Chris has really grown in over the last couple of years is his level of comfort with having parents within the classroom so they can see what he's doing up close and personal. He has become a mentor to many of our families of struggling students in his prescriptive and diagnostic approach to their students. And lately, he has really begun to shine as a teacher leader. He is putting himself out there to a much larger degree than when he first came on board. And I think that speaks to his own growth mindset, which comes through in his classroom every single day. I couldn't be prouder to have Chris on our staff. I consider him a personal friend, and I love to watch how he grows each and every year. Thank you, Chris, for all you do for our students and families.
Okay. Mr. Nazario, I just cannot tell you how proud I am of you on a very personal level this evening, because my first opportunity to meet you was 4 years ago, and more than 4 years ago, quite frankly. It was at a time when we did not have any probationary positions available in the district, but you were willing to come to the district as a substitute teacher. And you worked your way up from a substitute teacher to an immediate leave replacement to an eventual probationary teacher, and now you're looking at becoming tenured. I cannot tell you how proud I am. I feel like a dad this evening in terms of all the things that you have accomplished in the short time that you have been here. And I am just very proud to call you a colleague. I have to say, for all of the gentlemen being tenured this evening, all of you, especially you, Mr. Nazario, have really demonstrated for our boys what it means to be a gentleman. And I mean that heartedly. So congratulations to you. Your family should be very proud, and it's a pleasure to recommend you for tenure this evening.
Mr. Nazario, we'd like to congratulate you, and I won't forget the SNL skit you did at Forest Road. I think it certainly shows that you're able to put on a show and be smart in the classroom as well. So congratulations, best of luck, and we wish you all the best.
Congratulations.
Thank you. This means a lot. Thank you.
Okay.
Did it, Chris. Also up tonight, and I have the honor of speaking about Miss Bonacorso, but she is a shared staff member, so she is beloved by all 3 schools. I see John Singleton has gotten himself into this meeting just to make sure I say only nice things about Miss Bonacorso. Miss Bonacorso came to us at a time when our program for Quest was really evolving. And if you were at the board meeting last week, you already heard some of these amazing things that Miss Bonacorso has contributed to our district thus far. But she entered the district as a Quest teacher. And at that time, our Quest program was strictly pull-out, and she was responsible for 2 grades, and she was a wonderful collaborative partner for Miss Epstein. And together, they really began to blossom a program into a true enrichment for all. And I have to say that this lady works so hard. It is not easy to be amongst 3 schools, multiple administrative personalities, central office personalities. There's a lot of ask that goes on for Miss Bonacorso in what she's doing for our students. And there's never a no. And there's never, I can't figure this out. She truly embodies a growth mindset. She truly embraces the mindfulness and the personal growth that comes with her certification that she recently was able to achieve. She demonstrates that lifelong learning is not just something for the classroom student, but also something that we as practitioners should be really fully embracing in our own lives. Danielle has made some really wonderful things happen at all 3 of our schools for a multitude of children. But I would like to just speak to one thing in particular, our STEAM symposium at Forest Road, which was a little bit of a half-brain idea from Miss Lunar and myself a couple of years ago. And as we were putting this together in June as a means to keep children engaged as we end out the year, Miss Lunar and I had an idea, and it was about like here. And when we introduced this idea to Miss Bonacorso, it was taken off in a rocket ship and brought into an intergalactic planetary distribution of where we thought it was going to go to where she thought it was going to go. And I constantly find myself in conversations with Danielle where I'm like, can we do that? Because whatever your idea is, she's going to make it that much better. She always looks at it from a student point of view. She always tries to make it manageable for the teachers who have to reinforce what she's done with the students. And there is never, ever a time when she is not willing to put on her problem-solving hat and make really creative, innovative, and engaging things happen for our kids. Danielle, it's a pleasure to know you personally. It's an honor to know you professionally. The time and effort you give to all 3 of our schools and to our district overall is amazing, and you are an invaluable member of our staff.
Ms. Bonacorso, I would just like to add that it's all about opportunity. I talk about opportunity in this district. We are always trying to give our kids a chance. Just give them an opportunity to shine, an opportunity to grow. And you have done that from the day you stepped foot in Valley Stream 30. I am so happy to recommend you this evening. Enrichment, as we talked about, as Ms. Malone outlined, it was not just for the Quest kids, it's for all. Your professional approach towards working with our staff, as well as your nurturing and caring approach that you have with the children, make going to your classes just so wonderful. Every time that I have visited you and have seen the lessons, I've always walked away saying, wow, I wish I was a kid again and could be involved in these activities. You've done an outstanding job. And if I may, I'm going to speak to your children this evening and say to them that they are very lucky to have you as a mom, because you get both a great teacher and a mother in one. So I thank you the whole Bonacorso family for having this family member a part of our family. And lastly, to all of the families of all of the people who were tenured this evening, I know it's not easy. There's sacrifices that all of our teachers make in order to make great in Valley Stream 30, and I thank you on behalf of all. So congratulations, Danielle. You've done an outstanding job.
Ms. Bonacorso, congratulations. We did see the efforts of your work at the Lights On last year over in Memorial, and all of the presentations the board has seen this year that involve the work that you do. We really are thankful for that. And for all the tenure candidates, the board would just like to say big congratulations for always putting kids first, because that's what's really important. And having a teacher that you remember for the rest of your life is something that kids cherish. And it is really a chosen profession that I think is honored and to be honored. So thank you all for everything that you do.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Danielle.
There you go, guys.
Yeah.
Congrats.
We're good.
Congratulations.
So at this time, I'm going to move on for the superintendent's report and go to the next item that will round out this month's presentations on strategic planning. This evening, I'm happy to introduce Mr. Andrew Conley, who will present in the area of communications and what we have actually achieved this year.
Hi, everybody. Just give me 1 second to set up my window here. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to see everyone in good spirits and good health, first and foremost. Thank you so much for allowing me to present tonight. Tonight, I'm discussing Goal 2 of the current strategic plan for 2015 through 2020, pertaining to enhancing communication among all members of the VS30 community, those members being parents, other community members and leaders, and staff. This is an evaluation year, and the format of this presentation will be to showcase what has been implemented and is still ongoing, as well as to highlight anything new moving forward into our new strategic planning, starting with the inclusion of students and the drafting of student goals as members of the community for our new strategic plan. But I digress. Let me go into slide 2 here. So there are 12 target goals or process objectives altogether, and we will concisely go through each one specifically. So for our parent stakeholder group, there are 6 targets. The first being what you see here, to develop and implement an annual series of K through 6 parent workshops hosted at the building levels. Our family-friendly tours, Taste of Service, American Education Week, and parent-teacher conferences all continue to be a staple for the district in our efforts to make parents engaged participants in the ongoings of our schools as opposed to just recipients of information. As you see, we had very healthy attendance numbers and experienced a nice spike in attendance for the family-friendly tours this year. And we attribute that success to the fact that real-time parent workshops took place during these visits to help inform parents about the intricacies and nuance of new curriculum materials and strategies, such as being found within our Math Expressions and Journeys curriculum, in order for them to be better prepared to work with their children at home and solidify a school-home partnership for higher student achievement. Moving along, all schools also provided a litany of other parent engagement opportunities, including virtual ones during COVID-19. One in particular, in conjunction with our PTA, was to deliver a Healthy Minds During Unhealthy Times Q&A session, where parents had the ability to ask school psychologists, administrators, as well as other outside psychology professionals on best practices for supporting their children emotionally during this time at home, which did receive a great response and a high degree of community participation. And lastly, for this slide, our distance learning continuity of instruction plan that I'm sure you're all well aware of was launched using 3 phases. And throughout all 3 phases of building our virtual platform to deliver cohesive instructional supports for our students, we were able to provide devices to all families in need as well as to help them set up free spectrum Wi-Fi in the event that they did not have internet access, and provide step-by-step instructions via phone calls or even Google Meet in some cases to make sure their home setup was conducive to their child's academic and emotional success. Moving to the next target goal. Our target here was to develop a biannual parent survey to assess district and building climate and parent satisfaction with communication. Now, our accountability measure for this target was to have at least 75% of parents express satisfaction with the district's overall communication as measured by the survey. So let's take a look at each result individually here. How often do you receive communication from Valley Stream District 30? Almost half said weekly, about a third said daily, and about a fourth said monthly. And how often do you receive communication from your child's school? About 3/4 said daily, which is a great indicator. Which method of communication do you prefer? 90% said app-based communication by way of Remind 101 or Class Dojo and the likes. What's interesting to note there is of that 90%, almost half said they still appreciate the paper-based newsletters and flyers and things like that. I'm satisfied with Valley Stream District 30's communication with me, almost 100% there. And I'm satisfied with communication from my child's school, again, almost 100%, which is indicating that we've met that goal and exceeded the 75%. Moving along to, I have accessed my students' records via the portal, a little bit more than half. And the last question for this, my child has access to the internet at home, almost 100%. And as noted earlier, we helped them to set up the free spectrum Wi-Fi in the event that they needed access to internet capability. Our next target goal pertains to establishing parent language ambassadors in each school to support communication between the district and schools and the local parents. We have continued to use our parent volunteers as PLAs and have broadened our language services to now include Haitian Creole. Our PLAs continue to maintain ongoing roles at district and building events or wherever translation is deemed necessary. Distributing major district notification in electronic formats was another target that we feel has been met. Now our electronic formats are shown here, including our VS30 app pictured on the bottom left-hand corner, and our VS30 and PTA Facebook pages, as noted earlier in this presentation. They've proven to be paramount for communication with this parent stakeholder group. Amid the COVID-19 pandemic, Google Classroom, as well as these other communication apps, are being utilized to 100% capacity in alignment with our continuity of instruction plan and community outreach efforts. In addition, our building administrators have created video morning announcements to provide that personal touch and connection that's so sorely needed during this time of difficulty in regard to the coronavirus. The district has its active hashtag on Twitter, and administration still delivers newsletters by way of soft copies electronically during the pandemic to provide supplemental information as it pertains to curriculum and school happenings and updates, that being Principal Malone's Forest Forum, Principal Singleton's Clearstream Chronicle, and Principal Colorasi's Shaw Avenue Scoop. So moving to the next slide here. So we noted earlier our PLAs in terms of providing translation services, and our target here was to enhance the district's translation services at parent workshops and other events. So we already have had in place and continue to use our district website, Remind 101, Google Translate, and Say Hi apps, which all house translation capabilities within their software. A common practice across the district is also to identify key documents in need of translation services and provide accordingly. This includes the translation of our strategic planning survey and report card information. More on that in just a moment in regard to the report cards. But I do want to highlight Central Registration's ongoing work to provide translated packets as guidance documents. For example, you see there the kindergarten registration paperwork. And as mentioned before, the continuation and growth of our Parent Language Ambassador program. Okay. So the last target here for our parent stakeholder group was to create and update brochures and websites related to district programs and services to inform parents. And the updates are as follows. So each year, as you're well aware, our arts and ed theme is updated with this year's theme pictured in the top hand left corner, Lift Every Voice. Our district, school building, and department newsletters are ongoing, as well as district curriculum instruction updates, which have increased in frequency amid the COVID-19 pandemic to become weekly updates in an effort to deliver the most up-to-date information to parents as needed. Now, how do we know what to be communicated at certain times throughout the year? Well, we utilize and make note of the results from administered surveys to facilitate the most meaningful communication. And as promised earlier, an additional note in terms of our standards-based report card, we're working closely with developers to solidify best translation services as it pertains to report card information. And that brings us into our next stakeholder group. So we have 3 target goals for other community members and leaders. The first being to establish and assess partnerships with the VS30 Chamber of Commerce, local legislators, and other community organizations. We have continued to participate in the State Bags giveaway in conjunction with Senator Kaminsky's office, as well as strengthening relationships with Pick a Reading Partner guest readers and conducting author visits. More on that in just a second. But additionally, our participation with local businesses such as Sip This to display student artwork has continued, along with news coverage in Newsday and the Herald. The local fire department continues to work with our youngsters pertaining to safety, and our students continue to perform at various venues, including the LA Nets games at the Nassau Coliseum, the Green Acres Mall holiday performance, and the Bristol Assisted Living performances. And we continue to work alongside the Millbrook Association, and we're excited to speak on our philanthropic efforts with providing Thanksgiving Day turkeys to families in need in partnership with the local Key Food, as well as student-led initiatives such as our work with the Only Love Foundation and My Cards. Craig Taylor, the CEO of the Only Love Foundation, who is actually a Valley Stream Central graduate, he builds schools and provides sustainable water systems for children in struggling nations. And our students within district this year wrote letters of encouragement and created toys that were sent to these children, extending our students' community outreach to become global. And that story is pictured on the left-hand corner, very cool. On a personal note, I was actually set to travel to Rwanda with him this summer, but you know, the COVID-19 pandemic put a halt to that. The My Cards fundraiser was a very successful venture headed by our art department, where children made Hallmark quality greeting cards for the holidays and raised money for our art department, who so graciously worked with the PTA to donate that money raised into the Only Love Foundation to help those children across the globe. Very, very cool. Lastly, we have begun to establish a strong pipeline between the elementary schools and our high school district by way of a program called Athletes Helping Athletes, which is a mentorship program for all children to make healthy choices. We have also begun to make a connection with the Valley Stream Central Library during National Library Week for their students to perform read-alouds for our students, and this was connected to PARP winners. And this year, we established having Central High School's National Honor Society students serve as AIS Academy teacher assistants in classrooms. And one last comment in terms of the author visits and this pipeline relationship with the high school. One author this year was a man by the name of Troy Lewis, who spoke to students about the writing process and his upbringing through the civil rights era in alignment with Black History Month. But what's very cool about this is his book, Gas Money, serves as the main text for Central High School's AP Literature program. So that exposure to our children is really nice and relevant to see what they may be experiencing in a few years down the line. Okay, so another target here for our community members and leaders was to identify and coordinate K-6 field trips and in-district assemblies to Nassau County and New York City related to STEAM and grade level curricula. Well, this year we invited LICM into our schools to perform student workshops in addition to the launching of our in-district trips to the new 21st Century Learning Lab at Washington Avenue. Our dancing classrooms was unfortunately affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. However, there will still be a virtual component taking place to end off on a positive note. Our 6th grade Broadway trip felt the same fate as well due to the coronavirus, unfortunately, but these are all still in place looking into the future, including our museum opportunities. Mentioned earlier was the inclusion of our parents as participants. And I think American Ed Week is a perfect example of how they join our classrooms and learn alongside their children, engaging in the STEAM activities. We also have our Lego and MBA math hoops and science fairs that are all still in place and ongoing. Okay, the last target before we move on to the staff members is to establish a partnership with the Valley Stream Library to promote student literacy. Now, although the library has discontinued their Waldinger Cup competition, we're still very much involved by way of the PARP student logs that indicate library visits and the newsletters that go out from our buildings related to library events and certain upcoming programs. What we're excited about, as noted earlier, is the strengthening of our connection with the high school's library and having those National Honor Society students provide another voice for our students to become exposed to in terms of the importance of literacy study. Okay, so 3 more slides here. And this is our first pertaining to staff. So this target was to create and distribute periodic curriculum newsletters highlighting best practices and relevant curricular resources. So our continuity of instruction phases were highlighted to staff via electronic modes of communication as well as letters. The district website also provided coronavirus information and resources for those looking to learn more about it. As stated earlier, our department newsletters are still in place and ongoing, and we have weekly communication with translation services for any staff in need of that kind of support throughout the virtual learning as well. Okay. In terms of our professional development target, we have continued to design and plan for PD opportunities relevant to and practical for teacher life and practice. This comes by way of utilizing survey data from our committees. Our new areas of focus this year were professional learning communities and formative assessment to sharpen our practices in order to enhance student performances. Now, staff has the ability to create personalized learning pathways by way of our Tech Online resource and EdCamp PD models. And this year we have committed to also conducting in-person vertical and horizontal conversations to address any gaps in learning from grade to grade and across grades to make for a smooth student transition between grade levels without any loss of student skill acquisition or gaps in knowledge. So what this means specifically is that, for example, 2nd grade teachers discuss with 3rd grade teachers where they end the year, and 3rd grade teachers tell 2nd grade teachers where they expect student proficiencies to be coming into the grade. So our teachers can work in tandem as a PLC to create cohesion for our learners. These opportunities are still ongoing as all meetings have continued virtually, including PD sessions, as recently as earlier this month pertaining to a mix of topics for our teachers to improve their efficacy during virtual learning. And lastly, this is our, sorry, one second. Oh, okay. These were the questions presented to our teachers for their biannual survey. And the results here will look on the next slide. So again, our accountability measure of at least 75% of staff expressing satisfaction with overall communication, we've met that and exceeded that metric as indicated by the 90% and higher. And so we believe all 3 have been met. Are there any questions?
Questions from any board members?
I
I have one. Oh, go ahead, Kelly.
Oh, sorry, Jim. Hi. Thank you, Ms. Conley. Very thorough presentation. I had a couple of questions. I'll start with the teachers. How many teachers actually responded to the survey? So I know that we're getting 75%. I'd like to know what the whole number of responses were to the survey.
I don't have that information available to me right now, but I can definitely look back in the spreadsheet of the survey and get back to you if that's okay.
Okay. Yes, that's more than okay. I actually had the same question with the parent surveys in terms of what were, what's the whole number of responses that we got, that we received. The weekly translation that's happening virtually for those teachers that need that support, that's Fantastic. So I want to make sure, is that translation of what they're posting in their virtual classrooms, or are we providing interpretation services, or are we doing both?
Well, based off of our district website, yes, we're providing translated. Any communication that goes out from the district is translated for anybody who needs that type of service.
The virtual learning, the virtual classroom piece, where we were supporting teachers virtually for translation services. I'm wondering, is that so are we interpreting for students and families with the teacher, or are we providing them a translated document on Google?
Correct. We're using the Google Translate and other translation services. Yeah.
Okay.
And Ms. Urania, we've also been able to match up some of our bilingual aides that we have on staff,
Right.
so that they have been able to actually follow up with families and do the translation for them. So in terms of being able to walk them through a Google Classroom and do the translation for them in their native language, they're able to support with that as well during this time.
So, okay, and I had to, so we're doing the interpretation verbally, and then we're also translating that document that may be posted, or it's,
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Jim, you got a question?
Yeah. My question was on that one slide about the parent portal, about parents accessing their students' records. About what was it? 46% didn't do it.
Yes, 54 said they do currently. Mhm.
Just, I mean, it's almost 50-50. Do you know why that would be, that it's not more fully utilized?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dr.
I will share the fact that, again, this had come up most recently in regards to the platforms that are used at the elementary level. The parent portal is not the same as the secondary portal. It's used differently. We have other platforms where we are able to provide our parents with information specific to the classroom instruction on a regular basis, as opposed to just the portal that houses either formative, summative information regarding the child's academic progress. So they're two very different forms of communication, and that is why we are very confident with future growth with the portal, but more concerned about every classroom having a platform within that classroom in regards to communication and getting information to the parents.
I would just a second and piggyback on Dr. Sterling. As a parent with a child in a school, I may have logged onto my portal, shame on me, maybe once when I was told to register. And that's because the communication from the teacher or the building administration really is, I'd like to say, on target when it comes to sort of that elementary level.
Yeah, it's more comprehensive. It's not just the grade. It's more substantive.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Kelly, you had an additional question?
No, I think I'm good for now. Thank you, Mr. Conley.
Hanley, it's a very important topic, communication, and very important for everyone to be in communication. And so it is timely and very well done. So thank you for that.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Night.
Thank you, Mr. Conley. Very well done. This evening, we also have an update on our enrollment. At our April 13th benchmark time, we had 1,474 students. 1 month later, we have 1,478 students. So we've increased by 4 students over the last month. I would also like to give a quick update as it relates to COVID-19 and the impact on our district and activities that have been added and or are upcoming. So I just want to remind the school community that the last day of school is June 16th of this year. Child care services are still available for those who may be contemplating a need for their child. If you are a first responder, medical worker, or a grocery store employee, this service is still being made available through Valley Stream 30. So please check our website. Our breakfast and lunch program will continue through the end of the school year. Continuity of instruction, I thank Ms. Lunar, the administration, all the teachers for every effort put forth to try to develop this new educational system done virtually. Please continue to check our websites. Work that has been posted, work that is still being planned for the remainder of the year needs to be done by all of our students. School is not out yet, and we need every child to participate. So please, parents, make sure that your kids are taking advantage of everything that's being made available to them online. We are also in the process of planning alternative activities for our kids to close out the year. So more information to come through our PTAs in school. Lastly, our budget. We do still have a budget vote coming up, as well as a trustee vote. That has been announced. All that information is on our website. June 1st is the next budget hearing, and June 9th is the actual budget vote. The budget vote this year is being done by absentee ballot only, so please check our website for more information. Ballots will be mailed to every registered voter here in Valley Stream 30, so we encourage you all to participate. With that said, I thank everyone for their support and efforts, especially our parents and family members who have been supporting their children at home. I know that this is not an easy task, but we are here to work with you and to really do what is best for our children. I also want to say to our Board of Education, thank you for your support in regards to these particular times. This is very different. None of us would have thought we would have been in this situation. But I think together we will come through this even better, I believe. So with that said, I thank everyone again for their ongoing partnership and support, and turn in my report for the evening and turn it over to you, Mr. Cummings.
Thank you, Dr. Sterling. Is there any correspondence for the board from the district clerk? You have to turn your mic on.
It's none.
None, no correspondence. So as far as the other information, as Dr. Sterling mentioned, we do have a budget meeting scheduled for 2 weeks from today, which is June 1st, and it's at 7. And the high school and the elementary will be together for that. So together you'll be able to see the budget presentation on that date. And as Dr. Sterling mentioned, our annual vote will be June 9th. All absentee ballots will be mailed to every registered voter in the district with an envelope to return it. And information about the budget is on our website. So anyone that is interested, please review all of that, because it's very important to get all of that information. A survey was sent out by Nassau BOCES for parents by Blackboard Connect, looking for information from parents to fill that out and best ways to deal with remote learning. Last week, we were treated with 2 presentations, one from Ms. Malone and one from Ms. Lunar. And I thank both of them, and tonight, Mr. Canley, for his presentation. All were informative and thorough, and the board really appreciated that. And believe it or not, yes.
I just want to give a clarification. The June 1st budget hearing, the high school will go at 5 o'clock, and then we are following up at 7.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
I thought they were going to be together, but they are not.
Right.
Thank you. Believe it or not, this Friday is the beginning of the Memorial Day weekend, which is very hard to believe.
It is?
It is here already, and we wish everyone in the community a very happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. And with that, we will move on to the minutes. and I would ask for a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of 4/27, the audit committee of 4/27, the work session of 5/11, and also to accept as presented the minutes listed for those same dates.
Second.
Moved and seconded on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those minutes are approved. For the education report, Vice President Wiley Dakin.
Good evening, everyone. On the education report, I move A through I as listed.
Second.
Moved and seconded on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those motions are approved. Thank you, Vice President
you.
Wiley Dakin.
That completes the education agenda.
For the business report, Trustee Lavery, please.
Thank you, President Cummings. Good evening, everyone. For the business report, do any trustees the items they would like to take out for discussion or question or comment?
Item D.
Item D. Okay, anything else? Okay. So then I move items A, B, C, E, F, G as listed.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded on the question. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those motions are approved.
Item D, donation, gym equipment. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, will the Board of Education approve the receipt and expenditure in the general fund of the following donation from Shootout Cancer Incorporated to the following school to purchase gym equipment for their students. The general fund budget will be increased by said amount. School is Forest Road, and the donation is $500.
Somebody second?
Second.
Moved and seconded on the question. On the question, I'd just like to say a big thank you to the Forest Road community and for this donation. It is always appreciated, and they've always been very supportive. So thank you so much, and it really will be used very effectively. Anything else on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
That motion is approved.
And that concludes the business report.
Thank you, Trustee Lavery. For the finance, Trustee Urania.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does anyone on the board want to exclude any of the items listed under finance at this time?
No.
Okay, so I move items A through C as listed.
Second.
Moved and
Second.
seconded on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those motions are approved.
And that concludes the finance.
Thank you, Trustee Urania.
Thank you.
For other new business, is there anything to come before the board?
No.
Items of information. Trustee Okafor, please.
Good evening. For items of information, monthly maintenance report. The monthly maintenance report for April 20th, 2020 through May 13th, 2020 is attached. And the vandalism report is also attached, and I'm pleased to report that there were no reports of vandalism.
That's wonderful news. Thank you, Trustee Okafor. Is
Thank
there
you.
any old business to come before the board?
No old bills, no.
Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Moved and seconded on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Are adjourned at 8:57. Thank you all and enjoy the nice weekend. Hopefully, the weather will be nice and everybody can get somewhat of normalcy back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a good week,
Good
everyone.
night.
Good night, everyone. Take care.
Good night.
Good night.
How do I do this?
I could